Good morning and Happy New Year. My prayer for this day is that you will find God continuing to guide your spirit. May you not focus on the past year of 2020, but on the future and the continued love of God as we move through to 2021. I have a short reading this morning from Ecclesiastes 3 before I have a short meditation for this new year. For everything, there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. What gain have the workers from their toil? I have seen the business that God has given to everyone to be busy with. He has made everything suitable for its time. Moreover, he has put a sense of past and future into their minds. They cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. I know that there is nothing better for them than to be happy and enjoy themselves as long as they live. Moreover, it is God's gift that all should eat and drink and take pleasure in all their toil. This ends the short reading for today. You know, there is a time for everything. God gives us the chance to see the change that needs to happen and to see the love that God has for us. We cannot dwell on the past, but make time, celebrate the future. When I get a chance and I'm driving by myself in the car, I have podcasts that are downloaded. This past week, I had a chance to listen to a story from the New York Times, a podcast called The Daily. It's usually about the day's news and gives a recap for about 30 minutes or so of what's going on in the country and in the world. But there was a special podcast that I listened to this week that was stories from their readers, from their listeners, from around the world, sharing the good things that happened to them in 2020. Now, it might seem strange to say that we want to celebrate 2020, but these people had moments or situations that brought them more joy than they have ever had in their entire life. Now, there was a number of people who shared that they got engaged, or a few stories were shared that they began to date someone during 2020. There was a heartwarming story then about a woman and her grown daughter. They had lost touch. Then at one random day in April, there was a FaceTime call on the mother's phone from the daughter. So of course the mother got nervous and was really concerned. But she answered. And she just said, "What's up? What's wrong?" And the daughter just said, "I wanted to chat. Wanted to say hi." So they talked for a while and then it became dinner time. So the daughter said, "Hey, I'm going to make dinner. Will you stay on the call with me?" And so they did. To this day, 4 or 5 times a week, that mother and daughter make supper together. Sometimes their husbands are involved. Sometimes they're not. But the woman shared something specifically important. She said, there are times when we are on the phone and there are 1 or 2 or 3 minutes of silence. And it is in those silences that this mother feels closer to her daughter than ever before. Their comfort level, their love for each other needs no words. It was a wonderful story. There was another story about a special needs child who was learning how to ride a bike for a long time. Every weekend they'd go out. The mom would take the little boy out and they'd try to ride this bike, but he just couldn't get it. But during the pandemic, the little boy and the mother were home. So they went down to the local empty parking lot every day. And because of that consistency, because of every day working at it, that little boy learned to ride a bike. Other people shared that they have taken up art, that they have shared, that they have learned to play a musical instrument. There was one woman who even shared her trumpet playing abilities. And it was wonderful. So as I lift up those stories to you, my question to you is, I don't want to ask you, how was your 2020? For many of us, I know that canceling vacations, losing loved ones, a concern about our family or your church family or even yourself, the lack of social interaction for some of those extroverts out there is so trying. And I don't want to focus on that. I don't want to dwell on 2020, but I want you to look for the good things that happened. You know, I have never been able to spend more time with my 2 young children. They're doing school virtually, and sometimes that's challenging in itself, as many of you young families are dealing with this in different ways. But I still get to spend time with them. I get to see how my children interact with their classmates, how they interact with their teachers. I have gotten to tuck my children in almost every single night since March, because I'm at a meeting, but it's a meeting down in the dining room, and we finish up just in time for me to tuck the kids in. Well, now that you have had a moment to reflect on the good things of last year, take some time to get excited about 2021. What is it that you are looking forward to? What are you excited about? Rescheduling that vacation? Are you excited about being able to return to normal again? What is it that you are hoping 2021 would be like? And let's throw out a pandemic, and let's just say, if this were a normal year, then what would be your 2021 goals? For everything, there is a time and a season. And we sometimes don't like waiting. We don't always like celebrating having this free will that God gives us, because then we can make our own mistakes. But we know that in everything, God is present. God is guiding us. God has been present, and God will continue to be. May you have a blessed 2021. Happy New Year to all.